Right.
All right. Welcome back to the Enveonline podcast.
Number two.
Yeah, number 2, man.
Right.
You rocking with your host, Deshaun Jones, one half of Enveonline.
Second half, Azar Johnson.
Yeah, man, it's been a little minute. We had a little break.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We had a lot to do. We had a lot to work on.
A lot
we
to
got
do.
to talk about.
A lot happened, man.
Yeah.
You know, we can go everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you look online, it's a pastor getting robbed, giving a sermon like, yo.
I never thought I would see that in all my years.
I'm on my family vacation somewhere in the South. I look at the news alerts. I'm like, nah, this has to be, Facebook, the jokes, the memes.
Yeah.
There's a pastor in Brooklyn really getting robbed. That's a lot to talk about. We're not going to get into that, man. Okay. We do a lot of sports content if you're unfamiliar with us because we're new.
Hip-hop, yeah.
Hip-hop, sports, and fashion. Mm-hmm. We're going to start off with a little sports content, man. Mm-hmm. So, me and my partner was driving in the car down to Brooklyn. Yes. We get the news alerts about Deshaun Watson. And before I can even finish telling him, he goes on an epic rant. I can't wait to get back to the studio. I'm going to go off. Yo, D, you chill. I'm going to take the L on this. Yeah. He's telling me he's going to take the L. So whatever comes out of Azar's mouth, he's taking the L, but I got his back, though. That's how we do.
That's right.
But, yeah, let's lob it up, man. So to give a little context, we're going to start off with Deshaun Watson with our sports topics. Mm-hmm. So we all know the situation Deshaun Watson's in. We even published a clip a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But then there's something new that came out, the verdict with the NFL.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lob it up to you. I'm going to let you take it away on what happened with the judges and how do you personally feel about the situation in its entirety.
I mean, so what happened was Deshaun Watson, he got suspended. He after they agreed to an arbitrator, independent arbitrator, overseeing the case, which not even really the case because his legal case got settled. And they couldn't indict him, but he still settled out of court just so he can just get it over with. Let's just be honest. He just did it just to get it over with. He basically, they settled him, the NFLPA, and Rodger Godell and the NFL agreed to independent arbitrator to settle the case or to settle the situation as far as like with the league and how many games he should be suspended. The judge came to a conclusion of 6 games.
Not to cut you off. Mm-hmm. So before we get deep into this, because there's going to be a few minutes on this topic.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of minutes on this topic.
So dealing with the initial 6 games, there was a lot of stuff. There was outrage online, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. Do you think the 6 games suffice from what he's accused of, putting the context around what other people have been accused of and got suspended for, whether it be marijuana, domestic violence, the Ray Rice situation, the Ben Roethlisberger situation, or anything? Do you think the 6 games was correct in your opinion before you go on what you got to say?
If you're going, yeah, I do at this point. I mean, I look at it from this, and let me tell you why. Can I explain why?
Yeah.
People say he only got 6 games. He should have got a year. That's what we were expecting. But he only got 6 games. You got to remember, he sat out last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, he really couldn't come back. Let's just be honest. That was a suspension. Even if him and the Texans would have deaded the drama, even if him and the Houston Texans would have deaded the drama and said, you know what, let's just, let bygones be gone, bygones come on back and play, the league wasn't going to let him back in. He was going to sit for the whole year just off this situation until it got fixed. So it got settled. He did what he needed to do for his process. And now he goes to independent arbitrator that both parties agreed on, and he got suspended 6 games. What more do you want? The judge laid down everything. Sue Robinson, I think her name is. She said basically in so many words, this is y'all fault. Y'all haven't really solidified or clarified the rules and the laws for like what happens when your players get in trouble with certain situations. So this is what I'm going to give them. And if y'all wanted this to happen and wanted to be more harsh, she said he should have got a year. But you ain't clarifying any of that. So this is kind of on you. You're not going to get me to do your dirty work. If you want to suspend him for a year, then you do it.
I get it. I get it. So to interject real quick. So all the outrage rightfully so, being on Deshaun Watson, I get. So what you're explaining to me is that the judge is saying this is because you guys didn't clarify. Basically, like, to give an analogy, we have marijuana laws that differ from state to state. So you get caught with under an ounce in New York, I think now it's a ticket. You get caught with a few grams in Louisiana, you might end up in jail for a few years.
Correct.
So that's what she's like, you know, you guys have to clarify and make it across the board, because you guys, as you said, have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with players getting caught, domestic violence, marijuana, whatever, getting caught, and there's no set penalty. So now you guys want me to come in and be Mr. Bad Guy, for lack of better words. Is that what you're getting at?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, you know, you're right. And what ended up happening was, after the fact, which was fine. I mean, there was a big outlash. So what Rodger Godell does, because the outlash was so big, he decided, well, no, I'm gonna appeal the decision you made, and I'm gonna suspend him for a year. Well, I don't understand. Didn't you agree that y'all was gonna let an independent arbitrator do it? So instead of you just going by the law and the rules, you decided, well, I still got final say. So basically, in other words, it's like this. Let me explain it as if it's a 5-year-old, right? It's basically, I didn't get my way, so now I'm gonna act out, and I'm gonna show you who's boss, because I didn't get my way. I acted like I was gonna be a mature, responsible adult. I've seen it on, let me say this in the most professional way so nobody gets in trouble. I've seen this on job sites, and I've seen this standing from a certain distance. A boss or supervisor say, we treat everybody fairly equally, and this is how we go by the rules. But the reality of it is that they don't do that. So it's kind of like that's what the NFL's doing. We say this is what we're going to go by, but the reality of it is what we're not. So basically, by them doing this, they're basically showing, they're flexing their power. As much as people want to say, well, you know, it's kind of wrong what he's doing. It's kind of wrong. It's wrong what he didn't say. There's also a process, and the law has spoken, and the law says 6 games. So, in other words, what I'm saying is, leave it alone. If you wasn't man enough to do it, you know you're wrong. So just let it be. It's not going to change anything. If you sit him for a year, and I guess people are mad because he didn't get counseling involved in it, and he didn't get a fine. Okay, and your point. So I mean, he needs counseling. I think. Let me say this. I heard Shannon Sharp say this, so I don't want to act like I'm taking credit for it. But he made a good point. He said it'll never be enough on both sides. His punishment will never be harsh enough. Whether they take all his money, whether they put him in jail for the rest of his life, or whether he doesn't play in the NFL, it'll never be good enough. So it's the same thing. And on the flip side,
what was the context of that? Well, like, why did he say it will never be good enough? Because some people might say, if you void that 5-year contract for $250,000, that is.
No, because then he'll still, but then somebody else will pick him up.
Okay.
So they're basically saying he shouldn't play in the NFL. He should never be given it. And let me also make this as a side note. I'm not going to sidetrack, but I just want to make this good point. I'm hearing players, okay, particularly one on ESPN. I'm not going to say nobody's name. I always feel like I'll deal with you when I see you. If we had God ever crossed paths, don't tell me it's a privilege to be in the NFL. Don't you ever tell me that. And that came from somebody that don't look like me, that declare blatant racism that goes on in the NFL, and you players playing with concussions and broken bones. They ain't no privilege to that. You see how many players that came in that league that's broke, but you got billionaires up in there in the arenas owning teams. Don't you ever say it's a privilege. Don't you ever say it's a privilege. It might be a fun, great time in your life, but it is not a privilege to play with concussions and broken bones and be broke at the end and have nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, you got a family and kids out here to provide, or whether you don't, you got people depending on you. So don't ever say it's a privilege. There's no privilege to that. They've helped create $1 billion corporation, and they're not seeing $1 of it after they get done playing. So please spare me that speech. Now back to what we were talking about. Go ahead, what you was going to ask me.
No, I was letting you go ahead, man.
Yeah. Because I kind of feel like there's so many angles at this, but let me start with this with Deshaun Watson. There was a process. They went to it. You didn't like what they did. So because of the public outlash, now you're going to come back at him and you're going to say, well, he needs to be suspended for a year. I do think Deshaun, and let me say this as a personal say, he does have issues. For whatever reason, where there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe you're not guilty of everything that's being accused of, but
allegedly.
you're guilty of something. There's something that you were involved in, that you put yourself in a situation.
Facts.
So hear what I'm saying? Like you might, you know what I mean? For example, let me put it this way. You got friends that sometimes they moving in a way you can't be over there, man. But if you let them come with you and they say, yo, hey, I got to go make a move, and you ain't really asking, and then they do something and you get locked up, you saying, well, how could this happen? I ain't really know nothing. But you as a grown adult know better. And you already knew what the situation was. So even if you didn't know, you kind of had a gut feeling like, yo, I can't be in those situations. So I think with him, he does. But the process is, let me go here. This is where it goes. On a bigger stage, how this is going to affect. If the players don't stand up, this is going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
You give some examples because just for the viewers watching.
Every time a player gets in trouble, Godell comes down and lays down the hammer. And what I'm not liking about the NFL is they keep playing police. Like, well, we need to investigate this situation. No, they got cops for that. Let's also talk about with Watson. They couldn't even indict him. Any lawyer will tell you can indict a ham sandwich. You couldn't even indict this kid with all the cases that came down. Young man, I'm sorry. You couldn't even indict him. So my point is moving forward, you're trying to play judge and jury, and you're trying to say, you know, every time a player gets in trouble, it's a bad reflect on our league. Well, I saw players get in trouble. I'm not going to give my age, but let's just say this. I watched the Cowboys get in trouble. I watched
talking about the 90 Cowboys team.
Yeah, that was wild.
Because I just saw old boy on a podcast. You know, Michael Irvin. Mm-hmm. Was it Michael? Is it Michael Irvin from the Cowboys? Yeah. Giving a little story about young T.O., rookie T.O. That's how him and Mike Tyson went. That you guys got to go watch that podcast. And he said, I had to go tell rookie to get up out of here because things was about to get crazy. Yeah. But go ahead about the 90 Cowboys.
So the 90 Cowboys is wilding, right? That's just stuff we knew about. They were doing things. I mean, Deion was doing things even before he got to the Cowboys. He was wilding out with women and stuff like that. So here what I'm saying is like, and I don't mean that he's doing anything crazy, but here what I'm saying, the Cowboys were getting in trouble. Did anybody stop watching the game? The Cowboys are the biggest franchises in history. Nobody ever,
For what?
For like popularity. Yeah, it ain't because of winning right now. But hear what I'm saying, back in that time, and I know what you're going to say, well, Azar is social media and this and that, and I understand all that. But understand, like, nobody stopped watching. It's the same thing, and I'm going to pull a race card. When there's the blatant racism in the NFL, nobody stops watching. Nobody stops watching. When it's the blatant, like there's certain things that with Rodger Godell's doing, nobody stops watching. So don't give me the speech about... Go ahead.
Just for viewers, you know, sometimes we go through these podcasts and we talk a little fast. So again, we might get a subscriber or viewer who might say, well, what is Rodger Godell doing? Can you just give me something that you deemed, that you saw from Rodger Godell that you were like, okay.
So we're going to go into this next topic right after this. But example, Stephen Ross from the Miami Dolphins. When Brian Flores talked about that situation, he made it very clear that Stephen Ross was trying to tank games and do what he did to try to get high draft picks. He's also trying the platinum scheme of what he was doing because he wanted a certain quarterback. I'm not sure if he got the quarterback he wanted or how it was going, but he was trying to make Flores tank games. He was basically doing it. He also tried to scheme to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady in Miami. That's what he really wanted. So understand what I'm saying. When Godell didn't come down on the hammer on that, he just turned the other cheek. What they did is they took one of his 2 first-round draft picks. They took one of them away.
Okay.
So, I mean, and then you gave him $1 million fine and then said he can't be in the office, I think, until October, November. Really? How many owners you think really hang out in the NFL office, in their office, in the stadium? They're billionaires. Really?
They got better places.
That's what you think? But the players, you come down so hard on them every time. I mean, my God, if anybody gets accusing them of anything, you ready to throw them out of the league. And you're saying that they got to go through a process. What process, man? I don't really see you doing too much. And he's got so much to say, and he works for the owners. I get it. The owners are his boss. But how about you take that same energy and start calling these owners out about the blatant racist practices in the NFL? I don't see you beating your chest on that and doing that and playing sheriff to that because the guy who cut the check is what owns it. So mind you, and let me also say, Godell's not only the only culprit in here, because Maurice Smith, that not nice guy. He thinks he's a smart guy. The guy that runs the NFL players, the dude.
Talk about it.
You did this CBA and you agreed to let Godell have the final say on things. Why would you do that? The NBA don't do that. The Major League Baseball don't do that. We ain't giving you that power, man. What's wrong with you? So at the end of the day, why would you do it? You don't do that. Because you know what Maurice Smith thought? He thought, I could go back to court and I can fight this. No. What the courts keep telling you, when Ezekiel Elliott got in trouble, the courts kept telling him, you gave Godell this power. We can't do anything. So all you can do is take it to court and postpone it and play for a little longer until you got to eventually just do whatever Godell says. So they signed their life on a dotted line. You gave him all the power and control. I would say from this situation on, y'all, when they come back to the table, you make it clear Godell does not have the final word. If y'all players don't start staying up now, y'all going to be fighting for pennies and scraps. Y'all lucky y'all getting the contracts y'all getting now. Because trust me, the NBA is about to feel it next with the bozos that's over there.
So did they sign the same deal that Fabio Foreign signed in Mace for $5?
It feels like it, right? It feels like it, don't it? Don't it feel like
that's a whole nother topic we're going to get into, but let's get back to it.
So the whole thing with Deshaun Watson, there's so many layers to this. And I think he can fight it. I think he can fight it in court. Because if I'm not mistaken, I heard a report that he was. And so let me leave that alone. But he can fight it. He can prolong it. And what can happen is he can end up playing. Until they just go to court. But I think it's going to end up eventually because I think Godell wants it to go to another arbitrator. So basically, you just want to keep taking it to court until somebody gives him a year. And then you want him to have counseling and then you want to have him anything. And let me make this clear. Whatever he did, if he did do it, then he needs help. Let me say that first and foremost. But as of for right now, with me, if he plays, it does nothing to the way I'm looking at him right now. I mean, it is what it is. You get help. You start your life. You get up every day. From coming from a person that has been through ups and downs in life, you can only control what's in front of you. So just get up every day. If Watson is ever listening to this or hearing this, get up every day. Work to be the best person you can be, and trust me, this will go away. This too shall pass. Because I saw Ben Roethlisberger do some crazy stuff, and nobody ever remembers that.
Please talk about it, because people call me such a fake Steelers fan. How long you know me for? All my life, right?
Yeah,
I've been a Steelers fan since '93, since I was 6, 7 years old as a little boy. Shout out to my stepfather for introducing me to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, I called Ben Roethlisberger out, and you're not a real fan. Why? Because if this was somebody else that caught them same multiple accusations, especially one of them was on allegedly in a college dorm party or some.
He's got caught twice, and he only got 4. Originally, he got 6 games, and then they brought it down to 4. So I don't, like I said, they're basically doing. My point is to all this is because I don't want to sound like I'm all over the place. They're basically coming down hard on him to make an example. And I'm also hearing the whispers of, and these are the female fan base. Okay, they're not protecting women. They're not protecting young black males either. That's my response to that. If anybody wants to start, specifically somebody on ESPN that's a host on the show, that's a mediator, she keeps saying they don't protect women. They don't protect young black men either. Welcome to my world. As sensitive as that sounds, welcome to our world. Because that's the world we live in. Mind you, let me just make an example. And once again, I'm not sidetracking. Peyton Manning, when he comes in and gets drafted, he was going to be the number 1 pick, get millions of dollars, right? They're not going to go after Peyton Manning because they know what comes down on that. They know, you can't get nowhere near Peyton Manning. The cops will get you, and it'll be a wrap. Michael Vick, they will go after. Meaning, in other words, dudes from the hood is going to try to get at him. They're going to try to get him. That's why Plexico Burris was so running around with a weapon. I ain't gonna get into that either. But to make the point of what I'm saying is that there's a lot of problems in the NFL, and this is just a distraction because you got bigger issues than Deshaun Watson, and you seem to keep claiming that. I do, and I don't want to sound chauvinistic. The NFL is predominantly male. There's nothing but males playing on the field. So what I'm saying is that when you're talking about the women and you're saying the women and you're saying you need to protect the women, I'm not trying to sound insensitive here, but I'm trying to figure out they can't go on dates with the players. What are you saying right now? That's not Rodger Godell to go monitor every player with what they're doing with a woman. And let me be honest, some of these guys, I'm not gonna make excuses, but coming out of college, you kind of knew their situation, and they're around a lot of women. I've seen it, and it's all good. And then again, the NFL, it's all good, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes things shouldn't happen. I don't know. I don't really kind of want to touch that area. But when I start hearing the thing about protecting women, I want to know what that necessarily means. I just want to understand, because I haven't heard any women in the office. Matter of fact, let me get this one last point. The Redskins owner, he's accused of a lot of sexual things against women. I don't really see him getting suspended.
So that's where I want to stick with, because I don't want. Got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Somebody might see this. Oh, look at you guys being. I forgot the word. Whatever the word is in social media. What would you say? Chauvinistic?
Yeah, chauvinistic. Yeah.
Okay.
Like insensitive to women.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I want to parse this correctly. So, the backlash. So what you just went out with the owners of the Washington, the Commanders.
Yeah, they're the Commanders.
I gotta say the correct
word. Their name done changed 3 times, man. It's okay.
Because again, I'm more the basketball guy. You're really on football. So the Washington Commanders owners accused of multiple things, and you're saying from your point of view that you didn't see the backlash from the media or the owners or the courts from what he got accused of, as opposed to Deshaun Watson and others.
Right.
Okay.
He sat from a vacation home or boat and had and answered all the questions that Congress wanted to talk to him about. Because mind you, the NFL ain't really did nothing to him.
So nothing. I think that's a better point. That's a better way to parse this, because again, not gonna go back and forth with the somebody took this out of context of what we said.
Right.
So just to make the point, you're saying you saw owners get accused of what Deshaun Watson got accused of, and he got to sit in his billionaire mansion, vacation home, answer questions, and not give up his ownership of an NFL team.
Nope, nothing. I don't know what Goodell has really done. He didn't tell him to stay away from the team. He ain't do nothing. You get what I'm saying? So I don't understand. Like I don't know why you not coming down on him like that. And I know some of the stuff I'm hearing about with Watson. I can't lie. It's kind of.
I can't condone it because my name is Deshaun. We got the same name. Unfortunately, we're not related.
When I read some of this, I had to stop reading it. And I know as being like professional journalists, we can't. You just can't stop reading. But I couldn't really read any more stuff. That, like, if that was true, then you need just the fact that you put yourself in that situation. The punishment that they were going to give you, I wouldn't have blinked an eye about giving a year. We all saw that coming. We all expected it. But once they gave him 6 games, it is what it is. What do you want? You know what I'm saying? What more do you want? They took it to independent arbitrator. Let me say this. Like I said, I'm not going to defend Deshaun Watson. You couldn't even indict him. So if you can't indict him, and you couldn't, and you tried it twice. Let's be honest about that, because nobody talks about it. You tried it twice and it didn't work. And then you took him to an independent arbitrator, and the arbitrator told you, like, yo, look, y'all need to go deal with this. Suspending him 6 games. Let it go. Because the longer y'all keep prolonging this, the more it's going to be out there, and it's never going to go away. So I just, like I said, there's so many layers, but that's just the top layer I wanted to talk about.
All right. I think we spend about 20 minutes on that part. So we'll stay updated as this case goes along and give our analysis on what's going on.